So before I start this video, I want it to be stated right now that as a Wii U owner, I own about 6 games. Half are first party, the other half are third party. Now I didn't buy my Wii U at launch. I bought this in May. And I think there might be 3 other games I want to get for it. Well, there's one other game I know I'm getting, and 2 other games I might wait and see until Black Friday, which would be Zelda and probably Deus Ex Human Revolution. But I just want this to be shown so when they see the video, and I own the previous Wii system, which you can see some of the games for right here. Not all of them, obviously. I have a lot more than this, but you know, that's just the ones I have up here that I stack my I put my camera on when I record videos, and there's a DS collection all the way down there. 3DS is down there. I want to state all this so people don't think this video comes off as some type of hater video, because this is not going to be this is kind of a response to Shokyo's whole video about how Nintendo fans don't really complain or pretty much get on Nintendo for things that need to change. So this is just me airing my frustrations about things that need to change in a more dignified way. So let's get into it. Okay, so as I said, yo, what's up guys, the Insane Game Freak here, and as I said, this is just airing frustration, so let's get into it. Alright, now first thing I want to mention is that we have just like every other fan base, we have a lot of Nintendo fans we're all Nintendo fans, but we have different types. The ones that people have been kind of getting on a lot lately is the apologists, the ones that seem to be okay with every little thing Nintendo does. And you are kind of a part of the problem, but let me explain what the reasoning behind the people who are complaining about the things Nintendo does. Because you have people who do it like Bond and Zaire and even Broken Games, where it's like, you just hate on the Wii U for the sake of hating on the Wii U. And a lot of people don't really regard what they say is fact or truthful, and they usually go through every nook and cranny to try to refute their points because they're not known as Nintendo fans, quote unquote. But what you gotta understand is, as Nintendo fans in general, all of us as Nintendo fans, what do we want from Nintendo the most? We want them to succeed. We want them to do well. And how do they do well? By bringing us games that we want to play and the experience that we never get on the PS4 or the PS3 or the Xbox One or the Xbox 360. We like Nintendo products because they give us the games we like, they give us the experiences we want, and they give us the interactivity that the other consoles can't. So with that being said, because I believe our main goal here is to see the company we like do well, no Nintendo fan likes seeing Nintendo sales drop. No one likes seeing Nintendo get really bad third-party game ports. No one likes seeing, at least Nintendo fans, no Nintendo fan likes seeing their console being treated as the red-headed stepchild of the gaming industry. Nobody likes seeing that. No Nintendo fan likes seeing that, alright? So, how do you change those things? Now, let me ask you a question, which is better? Would you rather go through the ridiculous effort of trying to find 6 different reasons to prove that the Wii U version of Call of Duty Ghosts is the game to buy? Or would you rather Nintendo just put the game on the same level as everyone else so you wouldn't have to do anything? They would just literally have to look at the back of the box and be like, oh, this is next gen. This is the kind of stuff we need to be complaining about. It's like the situation with Call of Duty Ghosts, where it's like I think it was confirmed, I don't know if it was today, but it was confirmed about how we're not getting certain DLC. I think it's like the Free Fall DLC something. I'm not totally sure because I don't really follow Call of Duty like that, but I know it's like, oh no, Call of Duty isn't getting the Free Fall DLC, and we're probably not going to get most of the DLC like we did for the other Call of Duty games on there. Or you have games like Sniper Elite V3 where we only get to play the single player and that's all we get to do. Or you have situations like Injustice where it comes out at the same time for everybody, but the Wii U version can't do simple matchmaking and searching players to add into fights. You actually had to just keep doing the randomizing thing, and we got the DLC slower. All these little things. There might be, you can sit here and blame the third parties, and I'm not saying that the third parties aren't partially responsible for this, but at the end of the day, who does this hurt more? The Wii U is not the biggest install base out of the consoles it's usually being ported to. Therefore, the Wii U not getting certain game, Wii U getting the worst version of a game doesn't hurt the third parties nearly as much as it hurts Nintendo. Because at the end of the day, it's not like they can't get the best version of Injustice, they can't get the best version of Call of Duty Ghosts, they can't get the best version of what's the other game? Of Assassin's Creed 4, because they can easily go into the other two consoles that they know have had support for years. Wii U suffers through quote-unquote lazy developers and a lack of interest from Nintendo. And I think even Shogyo said it best about the whole online situation. There's nothing, listen, I don't really care that 3D World doesn't have online. That's not really the true issue here. The true issue is that what's the point of developing an online network if you're barely going to use it? The online doesn't have to be great, but it being there builds an online community. People don't want to make online games. It's like even a 3D Mario, even if 3D World didn't have a stellar online, if it was just okay or mediocre, it's building an online community. And what the Wii U needs is an online community. A community, like, they need a big online install base, because a lot of the games that come out nowadays, especially the shooter crowd, there's been a lot of online multiplayer games. No one wants to go through the effort. No third-party developer is going to want to go through the effort of designing the netcode behind a third-party title that has online for a console that barely has an online fan base. That's why every year a Call of Duty game comes out on the Wii or the Wii U. It's not even developed by the main team. It's developed by a separate team. Why is that? Because the Wii didn't have a big online fan base, and the Wii U doesn't have a big online fan base. It's working towards it, but considering the PS3 and the Xbox 360 had an entire generation, which would be a good 7 to 8 years to build up an online fan base, an online community, and the Wii U has about a year of it? Getting into a year worth of that. People don't really care about making games online. And they're not going to if they don't feel like there's a fan base that justifies it. That's why the Wii U will get skimped out on that. And see, that in itself also hurts Nintendo. Because when you see a game that's missing features just because of... It's kind of a trifecta in a sense. It's like, the Wii U has no online community, therefore they don't make third-party games with the online feature. Which in case makes people not want to buy those games because they're missing a feature that the other two consoles, or at this point might be the other 4 consoles, have. Who wants to buy a Wii U game that's missing like 6 features? Did anyone buy Sniper Elite V3 and felt like you were getting the same experience as a 360 or PS3 owner? I bet you didn't. At least with Deus Ex Human Revolution, I can at least say we're getting the same experience as the other console owners. The problem is that we're paying more for it. That doesn't make sense either. Like Rayman Legends, at least we're getting the same content as the other. It's like every third-party game I've bought so far is either an exclusive or something, or at least we're getting the same version of. People want to put money into things that justify $60 or $50. Batman is not. It has nothing to do whether the multiplayer sucks or not, because we live in a generation, and I think Nintendo doesn't understand this. We live in a generation in which people are fickle. People will change. People look for reasons not to pay for things. Why do you think we torrent? We don't torrent because we morally just hate people. We torrent because it's free and it's easy. That's the whole logic of this generation. We look for convenience. That's why the PS3 is partially a Blu-ray player. I know people who own a PS3 and only watch movies and play music on that thing. They don't even play games. That's it. That's what technology is turning into at this point. It's no longer about the experience. It's about the convenience of your product. I mean, if we're talking about the experience itself, wouldn't you technically get the best experience with the majority of these third-party titles on, I don't know, a PC? Exactly. So, I don't really care about the whole DVD Blu-ray thing, and Nintendo can't change that, but they need to make everything convenient. They need to streamline their system, because if they don't do that, then people are just going to go to the other two consoles just because it's more streamlined. Nintendo has a fan base because of its games it make. But you guys have seen this in other forms of media, whether it's movies, music, whatever. Quality does not beat out quantity anymore. If the PS4 has 16 features and the Wii U only has 3, even if the Wii U's 3 are amazing, if 16 is bigger than 3, and that's why people will pick a PS4 over a Wii U. And then on top of the fact that Nintendo needs to really start throwing money. And I know that seems ridiculous. I know that seems kind of dangerous and reckless, but here's the thing. You can't get a fan base for you. They're trying to pull in the hardcore crowd, right? That's why they put things like Tekken and Mass Effect and Assassin's Creed on their consoles. By the way, all 3 of those things, this is their first time being on a Nintendo system, by the way. They're trying to get these because they're trying to grab in the hardcore crowd. Well, unfortunately for Nintendo, they need to understand the difference between their crowd and the hardcore crowd is that the hardcore crowd, they care about graphics. They care about frames per second. They care about multiplayer and online. And they care about getting everything that everyone else has got, even if they're not going to use it. And I know this seems stupid, but you have to realize if you want to be taken seriously in terms, that's why when you did 360 PS3 comparisons, you never heard about the Wii. You wanna know why you didn't hear about the Wii? Because people didn't classify the Wii as the same as those two, because the Wii wasn't trying to compete then. But the problem is you're trying to compete with the Wii U. And when you try to compete now, you make it blatantly obvious how weaker your system is. And it has nothing to do with the RAM or processing power, because your system would still be a beast if you would get the same quality games at the same resolution. You get the same features. You get the same DLC on the same day the other two consoles get it. All of these are simple things. I'm not talking about, remaking the Wii U into some 10 RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive system. It doesn't need that. I don't have a problem with the console itself. I have a problem with all the little things, like how the messaging system on this it's just so clunky. I feel like I'm using a messaging system back in 2006. Like, this is how the PS3's messaging. I don't even think the PS3's messaging system was that bad. But the whole point is, I understand this is your first HD and online console, like true online network console. But you gotta understand, fans don't care about that. Fanboys, hardcore fans will care about that, but the normal consumer doesn't want excuses. They want results. They want games. They want features. They want all these little things. To me personally, the PS4 does not have an interesting lineup. I don't honestly see, in terms of games, I don't see a reason to buy a PS4 at launch. But the PS4 doesn't necessarily just have to have games. They have to have, if they got all this other stuff like the features, and you can play music and watch movies and Blu-rays, and you can hook, and you got your 500 gigabyte hard drive, you have all these little small features, they can BS their way into getting people to buy their console, because people who bought the PS3, half the people who own this console, the PS3, only use it for movies. And it's like Nintendo, if you're going to be strictly gaming, I expect your gaming side to be stepped up. And in features, and see what Nintendo likes to do, is they likes to do this far left situation. Meaning, the middle would be being a little bit of different and a little bit of unique. A little bit different and a little bit of the same. PS4 is somewhere around that middle ground, maybe like far right. And what far right would be is like conforming, pretty much is doing exactly what the consumer wants for the most part. Nintendo is like far left. Every time, and see, listen, I have no problem with Nintendo being different and unique and trying to do different things and trying to appeal to the masses in different ways. Gamepad controller, I have no problem with that. Wii Remote had no problem with that. But the problem is they don't ever compromise it at all. I mean, if you think about it, the N64 and the GameCube struggled partially just because of Nintendo's decision and making it. They don't ever want to make things easy for third-party developers. And they're under this impression that if third-party developers are going to just want to put stuff on their console. The only reason why that happened with the Wii was because the Wii sold so well. GameCube and N64, that didn't happen. Why? Well, the N64 still used cartridges while everyone else was trying to do disc-based gaming. Then we got the GameCube, and they still didn't want to do just normal DVD-sized disc. It's not that the GameCube couldn't do what the PS2 could do. It's that you would have to try. And the problem is that we're in the generation now, and I think Sony learned, you have to streamline it. You can't sit here and try to make things difficult for them to get the best power, because most developers won't try. You'll get like a handful of hidden gems that are really great on your console, but most people will have already don't even care, and they'll be hidden gems for a reason, because it'll be buried under the amount of Xbox One and PS4 games. Because even if your games are quality-wise better, if the other two consoles have more third-party exclusives or third-party titles that are better in general, it won't matter. Quality at this point don't... Listen, I still want quality in my gaming experience. But Nintendo, you gotta understand, you gotta pander a little bit to the third party. Because honestly, you don't. And in a sense, I can kind of respect that on certain levels, but not when I'm getting the worst version of a game. Because at that point, then I don't buy the game for the Wii U. I buy the game for the PS3. I buy the game for the 360. I buy the game for the Xbox One. I buy the game for the PS4. That's what people do. And you lose money that way. And if Nintendo, you're trying to be in that, if you're trying to appeal to the gamer as if you should be the only console in their house, you're not giving them a reason to do that. If someone wanted to just own one console and the PC, I don't think people would pick the Wii U. Unless you just really like Nintendo games. Which is what you're pandering to, is that people still like Nintendo games. But that's not going to work on someone who loves Battlefield. That's not going to work on someone who loves GTA 5. That's not going to work on someone who loves something like Ratchet and Clank or Uncharted or Halo. None of your games pander to that. And that's where it hurts. For me personally, I want to see you do well. I want you to be on top like you were last generation. But this time, not because you have a gimmick, but because your quality, you appeal to the third parties, and you keep the hardcore Nintendo fans hooked. That's what I like. And that's my whole opinion. Streamline your console. Make it easier for third parties to want to take advantage of the hardware. And give them a reason. If you gotta throw money to get these third-party games to be on the same level as the other ones, do it. Because even though it may not seem like a big deal now, it will help your console in the long run when people are like, oh man, I just bought a Wii U, what game should I get? And there's like hundreds of games. They're the same as the other two consoles at the third party, and you have your amazing Nintendo exclusives. That helps your console. Not this, I'm trying to be different. It's like, I want to do social networking, but I don't want to integrate Twitter and Facebook. Miiverse, and I'm like, but people still use Twitter and Facebook. It's not like your Miiverse is going to take over that. You can't integrate those? Come on. You guys make that so hard, and that's why you struggle. That's why the Wii U struggles. You have nothing to lean back on because you've been focused strictly on gaming, and you're not doing it right, obviously. I don't want to see you guys, like, I don't want to see this turn into the GameCube. I really don't. And I like the GameCube. I own the GameCube. But I was like one of the few people who did. And even if everyone else did, they only own like a Pokemon game and like a Mario title. Like Smash Brothers. That's about it. So, that's just my whole thing. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Likes a game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. 2014, you have the titles. Show everyone else you can step up to the plate and do just as well as we know you can. Nintendo, it's on you. Peace. Separated by volumes, which I like, and all you have to do is click this little arrow next to the volume, and you get each of the chapters for each volume. And it's still in order, so like chapters 1 through 4 in volume 1, 5 through 9 in volume